Miami's really a cosmopolitan international city. So much heat there, so much happening.
You go to Las Vegas to escape. You sort of go to Miami to be noticed. Vegas is a night show, and Miami is a day show.
When you take the geography of Miami, you still have a forensic show, you have a show about CSIs, but by virtue of being a different time of day and a different metropolitan area, you've got a slightly different show.
And Miami has a different kind of energy than Vegas. Vegas is the most modern city in the world. I mean, that's what sets it apart, I think. It's just, it came up from nothing in a desert, whereas Miami's been there a very long time.
CSI Miami developed out of the success of CSI, out of really the desires of CBS and Leslie Moonves to expand the franchise of CSI.
The day after, we were told that there would be a Miami spin-off. Almost all the creative energy of that second day shaped the show almost immediately. We thought about what we had here, which was a show set in Vegas and a show set at night that was a very fast pace, that included internal body shots, that included a lot of those things. Once we saw and really talked about what we had, we talked about a different version of that. We talked about a daytime show in a cosmopolitan city, in an international type city, something on the beach, blue skies. Then we went to Miami.
So we went down there, we flew down there, we were still running our other show, CSI. Anthony and I broke off, went down, visited the city, 4 days whirlwind.
What we found in Miami, which I think is totally different from Las Vegas, is that you have a lot of different cultures that live very closely together, yet maintain proudly their culture.
You know, I joke that Florida's the new California. That's where the election fell apart or came together. That's where a lot of the sleepers from 9/11 were living. We noticed there was a lot of cross jurisdictions of federal and local law enforcement agencies.
We really were striving to make it look completely different because we did not want to clone. It was very important to the original CSI franchise that we make a nice new show, but it couldn't just be a recycled version of Vegas.
I don't think anyone but a writer understands how difficult it is to walk into a writer's room when you're not just doing a regular episode.
We started to fashion a story, again, with the help of Liz Devine, who was just so instrumental in making this work, because our pilot episode was what you call a planted spin-off. It was episode 17 of CSI, where we would have a murder in Vegas and an abduction that would then lead to Miami, where Horatio Caine, David Crusoe's character, would pick up.
The pressures of having to write a script and cast it all at the same time. We met with Emily Proctor on Miami, and we didn't have a script. We just had known, we knew about this young woman in ballistics down in Miami that had so impressed Anthony and Ann. We hired Emily Proctor and created Callie Duquesne before we ever had a script.
5 casings, no hits. Oh, by the way, I'm Callie Duquesne. Don't ask me how to spell it, Southern.
It was very difficult on Danny Cannon, the director of both CSI Pilot and of the Miami spinoff.
When we look back, I don't know how we did it, but Danny Cannon directed it, and he set a tone and a look that was pretty amazing.
We didn't get to give birth to a pilot. We didn't come from an original place. We had to come from somewhere else, and it was a mixture of Vegas and Miami. It was a very tough show to do.
Our guy's still in the wind, folks. Still in the wind.
The Everglades, just flying over it, goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. And this constantly moving, constantly rising and lowering thing. It's this organic, huge beast that surrounds Miami. We had to go there, and I wanted to put Delco actually into the water. So we gave him a wetsuit. We did that, and he was fearless about it. Although he did ask at some point, are there alligators around? We said, sure, but, you know, look, there's a whole film crew here. We got a car and a crane in here. You know, we're making so much noise. I mean, these things are more scared of us than they are of you. The minute he got out of the water, one floated by, just with one eye open, just cruising along, about an 8-footer, just cruised along and looked over at him. It was amazing. So they were in the water all the time, but they were looking at us like, what the hell are you guys doing? I think it was just trying to suggest a lens change.
The thing about Miami is the entire city's watched from above. Coast Guard choppers. Someone going to cover me? I got you.
No, I like that scene because what we did logistically that day is exactly what the police do. You know, I mean, we put the car in and that was the only difference, but the way they pulled it out and the way they had to wait patiently there and the way that one of them had a rifle looking for alligators in case there was any. You know, everything was copied exactly the way they'd do it, you know, because we'd observed them doing it. There's a club there called Honey's, and no, they would have honey there. You would have apple slices at the bar, and you would dip them in honey. And I'd observed this. We just went a step further than the actual club did, and we doused a girl with it. Instead of like taking the honey out of a cup, we took it off of her.
On both shows, at the beginning, I did have to teach the writers.
Word around the department is you reopened the case.
Word travels fast.
This is Miami. There are no secrets.
I gave them a CSI class. This is what you do, this is what you don't do.
Speed, get on that thing right now. Put the birds in the air and call the Coast Guard right now. Do it.
So they would know what's acceptable for the franchise and what's not.
Body language does not look like an attack.
When they get the basics and they learn about what criminalists really do, they get excited about forensics. And that's what you want. You want to get these writers who really are there for a job and are excited about science anyway. Now we got to excite them about forensics and mysteries.
My preliminary probe shows water in the lungs, which indicates she was still alive when she was put in the canal.
You're not at arm's length with the science in CSI. I was always afraid of science. And I think in our case, the way we handle it, the audience goes, yeah. And we go, yeah, isn't that interesting? That makes sense. I understand the chemistry of that. I understand the biology of that, or I understand what the scientists is saying.
Sandy soil minimizes decomposition. There's marbling, but very little skin slip.
The soil is cool.
Miami's just water everywhere. And, you know, if you dig 2 feet in the ground, you hit water anywhere in Dade County. I mean, it's amazing. It's just right there on the water. So that just leaves all kinds of stuff, not to mention what it does to a body after time. I mean, you bury a body in Vegas and you bury a body in Miami, it's going to look totally different.
Here you go.
We push the envelope when it comes to showing gross, injuries and just trying to show the audience what actually happened. I mean, our episode Slaughterhouse was very bloody and very violent, and there were children murdered. Crossing the line, I don't think so. I mean, children get murdered all the time, and it's awful and tragic, and it's certainly a good story.
All clear.
But we were respectful about it.
First season of Miami was tough. It was a whole year of a birthing period, blood, sweat, and tears from a lot of people. A lot of different opinions, a lot of different ways to approach things, how far to push the envelope, how far to be different. Is that too close to Vegas? Is that too far away? So many different things. And in the end, all you can do is listen to yourself. And if that show at the end is something that entertains you, that excites you and keeps you questioning and has something to say, then that's all we could rely on.
Miami is a much more grounded show, much more politically oriented show, much more raw show. I think CSI Vegas is a much more of a mystery show. We bring you into worlds and subcultures in Las Vegas. It's a 24-hour town. And the execution, and if you put the Miami cast in the CSI script, it would feel foreign. And if you put our people into the CSI Miami script, it would feel foreign. So they both have their separate voices, and I think they complement each other pretty well without feeling like it's another clone. They're both procedural dramas, but in the execution of how they come off on screen, it's very different.
Miami-Dade, when we went there, the lab is big. It's sophisticated. It's really part of the police department there. And all the CSIs in Miami are police officers. They went through the academy. They have been on the street.
Miami-Dade Police!
They are police officers. That's not true in CSI. And that really set the tone for the difference of the series.
Slowly.
If you look at any show you ever loved, there is like what I call the power hum, and that's the lead character, and their self, it kind of ripples through the show. And when you have a David Caruso, you have a different hum rippling through the show, which means your stories are going to be different. There's still going to be forensics. You still have to rely on the evidence, but the stories are different.
I had a big concern that maybe Miami might fall on its face and bring our show down, was our initial concern. Because if this didn't work, you know, people would say, well, that's not the kind of franchise we thought it would be, and that show went off, and now they start picking apart whether CSI has those kind of legs. We were also fearful that Miami may beat CSI in the ratings because of curiosity, or maybe Caruso and that team would come out and people would latch onto that show, so we didn't know how it was going to react. Our job was to keep both shows on the air and make them both hits for Mr. Moonves. We've done that. They're both in the top 10, and we'll take it.